Thank you everyone who's joining us tonight for an update on the Community Visioning Project. This is something that we've worked really hard on, and we're really proud to present the results of all of our community outreach efforts over the last several months. For those of you just joining us as part of this project, and as a reminder for those of you who have kept tabs on it for a while now, the goal of the project, next slide, please. Thank you. The goal of the project is to ensure that Sammamish has a strong and clear community vision to guide its updated 2024 comprehensive plan process. This community vision statement is a foundational element that's going to guide goal setting and policy making going forward. So it's been really important and really great to hear from all of the community members who have participated so far. Next slide. For the last about 5 months, the project team has been hard at work engaging with hundreds of stakeholders throughout the city. We've held virtual meetings and events. We've met with leadership, elected and appointed officials. We've had virtual workshops with the Sammamish seniors. We had a previous popcorn with planning back in November that I hope some of you were able to attend. We partnered with the Chamber of Commerce to do a virtual workshop with business leaders. We've also reached out to youth organizations and schools, all 14 schools in the city of Sammamish. We worked with 2 elementary schools and 2 high schools and reached out to clubs, the Parent Teacher Student Associations, and a local Girl Scouts troop and the Sammamish Youth Board. We've also talked with or contacted 7 community organizations and 15 religious institutions representing a variety of interests in the city. And we contacted 249 HOA and property manager contacts in 401 different neighborhoods, development projects, apartment buildings in and around the city. We've also utilized Connect Sammamish, the city's typical social media channels like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, the city's established e-newsletter, print newsletter, and partner organizations like the YMCA and the library to promote this project. We also posted flyers at some local businesses and other community hubs throughout the city. So I really hope that everyone who's attended tonight saw this project advertised somewhere in the city, because we've worked really hard to make it as visible as possible. Back one. The last thing that I wanted to touch on is the community survey, which was a really big part of the outreach that we did. So our community survey included a statistically valid group and an open link online survey version with the same questions. And we received over 1,000 responses, which was a really amazing response rate overall. The statistically valid survey alone had a 16% response rate, which is about double what we would typically expect for a community the size of Sammamish is. So everyone here obviously cares very deeply about this community and what they want to see going forward. And so it's been just fantastic to hear from everyone so far. Okay, now, all right, so what we heard from all of this. Next slide, please. The big takeaway for us so far has been that the 2015 community vision still has a lot of great bones with concepts that resonate well with the community across all of the participant groups. Results indicated that the community continues to strongly favor environmental preservation, access to parks and open spaces, and tree protection in development projects. Residents also really like the emphasis on quiet and peaceful neighborhoods that have ready access to necessities and quality of life amenities. And finally, we found that respondents really value the city's culture of safety and friendliness, which was called family-friendly and kid-safe culture in the 2015 vision statement. Next slide, please. We also heard that a lot of ideas in the 2015 vision statement are still kind of works in progress or otherwise aspirational. Chief among these are the city's progress on housing choice and affordability, transportation connectivity, especially for modes other than driving, and venues for improved social connection between residents. Next slide, please. The community also noted that the 2015 vision statement could use a few updates. Some of the language is a little bit dated or maybe too technical to be easily understood, and not all of the concepts in the 2015 vision reflect current community values and priorities. The 2015 vision is also missing some things that are really important to the population in Sammamish today, including a clear understanding of the value of diversity and inclusion in enriching life within the city, a strong desire for climate action and resilience in physical infrastructure and social cohesion, and the need for community gathering spaces and events that reinforce social connection and friendship in and among the various demographic groups, especially to celebrate diversity and the city's character. So what this means for us going forward, we've taken all of this feedback and we've synthesized it into just 6 community value statements. It was a lot of work to get to this point. I think that these statements are really, really good and speak really highly of how Sammamish sees itself. And as I go over these, I hope you can think about whether or not they ring true for you, because there will be an opportunity to tell us what you think towards the end of this presentation. All right, so what we heard turned into these community value statements. Sammamish is a place that prizes diversity and the richness that it brings to the community. The city is inclusive, safe, and welcoming, and enables all of its residents to thrive. Sammamish protects and enhances the natural environment as a hallmark of community character and an asset to the quality of life for residents and visitors alike. Sammamish embraces a tight-knit social character while providing access to retail, restaurants, services, and other amenities that are needed for a good quality of life within the city. And Sammamish values a range of housing types and choices that meet the needs of its residents regardless of lifestyle. All right, last 2, Sammamish seeks to expand transportation connectivity for all modes of travel, including walking, biking, transit, and other options besides driving. And Sammamish really wants to be a resilient community with a strong social network and well-protected and well-maintained infrastructure for its residents. We also learned a lot about priorities for future planning. There were some really interesting overlaps between resident responses to the survey and non-resident responses to, it was a slightly different survey for non-residents. Some areas of overlap that we noticed and that are shown here include improving infrastructure and transportation options. I do want to point out, in looking at these priorities, that the non-resident survey had a comparatively small response pool. There were just 18 responses compared to over 1,000 in the resident survey. So just a note there as far as how we're comparing these 2 different groups. So residents really wanted improved infrastructure, and infrastructure being systems like internet, electric utilities, and roads, the kinds of things that make life work. Residents also really wanted a focus on environmental preservation. These 2, about 74% of responses indicated that improved infrastructure was a top priority. About 64% of responses indicated that environmental preservation was a top priority. And then improved transportation connectivity and parks and open space planning were also very important to residents, with about 59 and 57% respectively for those 2 planning topics. Non-residents similarly wanted that improved transportation connectivity and improved infrastructure, with about 85% wanting that improved transportation connectivity and 62% wanting improved infrastructure as top priorities. And then they also wanted more affordable housing options to be able to live within the city in many cases, and a greater number of small local businesses to support a thriving local economy. Both of those latter 2 at about 54% of responses indicating this was a top priority. And while these were stated priorities in the non-resident survey results, there's also a significant overlap between these priorities and what we heard from the community outside of the actual resident survey prioritization question. So it's interesting to see that all of these are very thematically related, and all of the same priorities are floating to the surface.